I thought it was both their faults. I thought that, I told you earlier, Peyton should have gone to him and said, I'm not full strength. You know, as you said, he's very competitive. If I'm Gary Kubiak, I go, the best. Even though they lost, if I'm Gary Kubiak, I say, we can win this one without you. Because if you looked at the Chiefs,
they're not a very good team.
They're not a great team. It was the mistakes that cost them. I don't want you behind this offensive line. Gary Kubiak should have said this. I don't want you behind this offensive line. It's not playing very well. I don't want you with no running game. Son, I'm going to set you out, even though he's not much older than Peyton. I'm going to set you out this week and sit you out. Sorry, that's a Southern thing.
See, I thought Gary was taking a bullet for him. I thought he was trying to...
Well, he takes a bullet for everybody.
Yeah.
Every week you go, it's on me.
I thought he was trying to deflect. He knew there was going to be a feeding frenzy of criticism against Peyton Manning. I thought at the beginning he was taking the bullet for him. It's a really difficult place to be in for Gary Kubiak. He's got one of the all-time great quarterbacks there, don't you think? He's got one of the all-time great quarterbacks there. The guy practices on Friday. Gary said in this very newspaper, the Denver Post, he looked pretty good. He practiced most of the day on Friday.
What happened on Saturday?
And he went on Saturday, and he said the same thing.
No, but on Saturday he reported with a rib cage problem.
Sure.
So we've got some kind of... We don't know. We don't ever know whether it's cracked or whether it's bruised or sore or whatever it might be. So you add that to the foot, the shoulder that was a couple of weeks ago.
But then he went out pregame yesterday, and he threw the ball around pretty well. Now, it's not game conditions, but he threw the ball around pretty well. So if you're the head coach, aren't you saying to yourself, I've got Peyton Manning. He seems to be okay. He's telling me he's okay. I've got to play him.
Okay. All right. I'll accept that. At the end of the first quarter, what do you think?
Okay, that's different. That's very different. He looked terrible. Just terrible. And the offensive line wasn't giving him much protection, and the running game wasn't giving him any support whatsoever. He had to pull him before the first half was over.
What was the score at the end of the first quarter? 10-0, I think.
Yeah.
I could be... I'm pretty sure.
And then it was 16-0 at half.
I remember looking up, and it was 10-0.
Yes.
They scored a touchdown very quickly, 4 plays. Then they kicked a field goal. And I thought, this is the time to do it before it gets worse. Because you saw it. Everybody saw it. Everybody watching this show saw it. Everybody could tell he couldn't throw to anybody. They called intentional grounding, which was the worst call in the history of the NFL. Because the guy that was supposed to be there wasn't there. Peyton was throwing to a spot. He wasn't intentionally grounding. That's what he was.
Well, and here's the other thing he was doing.
He was there.
He was floating the ball to the point where he was putting receivers in danger. And I can remember going into the Broncos locker room when Tim Tebow was the quarterback here, and talking to Eric Decker in particular. And I said,
Demaryius Thomas.
I took Eric off to the side and I said, "Are you afraid when he puts the ball up?" He said, I have no idea where the ball's going to be. He said, too many times it's down below and I'll get cracked in the head because I'm reaching, or it's up here and I'll get cracked in the ribs, and this is not comfortable for me. This is not comfortable for the Broncos receivers right now.
So going back to the original point, Gary Kubiak can take all the blame he wants to, but he deserves the blame for at the end of the first quarter.
Yeah.
And if it's not the end of the first quarter, it's got to be at halftime. And he says, well, I thought, maybe we get back into it. No. You remember seeing, and I'll just add this, if you didn't see it on television, Gary Kubiak called the entire offense around him. And he was talking to these people, and then he pointed at Peyton. I don't think he was saying, you're
dog meat today, yeah.
What I believe he's saying, and you saying, why didn't you ask him? Should have. Wasn't in there. I was in the other room. He was saying, you guys need to help this guy. He's hurting.
That's the impression I got.
That it was like,
yeah,
you got to help him out. You got to protect him. You got to run the football.
But that right there
and he goes out,
should have told Gary, I got to pull this guy now.
That's the point. He goes out, throws an interception. That's when you got to take him out of there. That he's told everybody. Because when they started that drive, I thought Ronnie Hillman played. I saw a little bit of response to that. I saw a team that was lifted a little bit. Ronnie Hillman's running pretty good there. But when he threw the interception, that's it, guys. That's it.